Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie Villela and I'm a realtor, property manager, and investor here in San Antonio, Texas. On my channel, we talk about all things real estate, from data and market updates to home and garden. So if that's your cup of tea, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all of that. Now, today we're going to be doing step 2 in my series on how to buy a home. So if you missed step 1, then make sure you go catch that video. But if you're here, hopefully that means you've already selected your mortgage broker and your realtor. And so you need to work with them, make sure if they have their own steps for you to follow, particularly your mortgage broker, you want to get them all of the things they ask for as soon as possible. But now we are to the fun part of looking for a home. So the search is the 90% of house hunters that has all the drama, all of the fun. This is what people think of when they think of buying a home. This is the fun part. So congratulations, this is the great part. But I'm going to actually separate the search into 2 different videos. I think a lot of times people dive in and they start looking for houses. They start looking at Zillow, looking at listings from their realtor, and they're concentrating on like the house itself, which is not terrible, but I think it is kind of missing a step, because there's nothing worse than absolutely falling in love with a home online and then realizing that the neighborhood it's in is not going to work for your family. So you don't want to do that. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of emotions. What I always recommend my clients do is they start out by narrowing down which neighborhoods they want to look at, because you can do a lot of things to change your home to make it more what you want to have in a home. You can paint, you can change countertops, you can change the backyard, you can do a lot of things to your own home once you live there. The one thing you cannot change about your home is where it is. If you buy a home that is like your dream home, but it's in a bad neighborhood, or you don't like the school district, or it's too far away from work, then you're still going to be miserable in that home. And so I always recommend, let's start out with the neighborhood. Let's start out with the area of town. And once we get that narrowed down, the search is going to be a lot easier. So the tips today are going to be how to kind of narrow that down. San Antonio is a huge city, so trying to figure out which areas to look in is really key. Obviously, the first 2 are things that I think everybody already knows. If you have children, you want to look at the school districts, right? If you are in Texas, the Texas Education Agency is a good place to go to learn about your local school district. They have report cards on their website, and they can kind of let you know how the schools are doing. That's the agency that regulates the schools, so to me, that's a really good starting point. There are also a bunch of other websites where you can go and get data on the local school districts. I will try to remember to put some links in the description below to help you with that search. But you want to make sure that you like the school district, that it has what you need. For example, if you have a child with special needs, you want to make sure that you're looking for a school district that is good at helping kids with special needs, that has a good special needs program, etc., etc. You want to look at the school district. I think everybody already kind of knows that, but I thought I would throw that in just in case. The second thing you want to look at is safety. Now, there are lots of websites where you can find crime statistics. Just keep in mind that pretty much in any city, any neighborhood is going to have some level of crime. It's good to look at some objective statistics, but just remembering that it's pretty difficult to find an area that has 0 crime, right? You can look at like the different types, whether it's property crime or violent crime, things like that. But what I actually find when I am looking for a home is that the most important thing is to go and walk through the neighborhood at night. That is how I determine if I feel safe in that neighborhood. Because it really doesn't matter what it says on paper, the statistics and things. Your brain does not compute those statistics very well. Like you could tell your brain all day, oh, this is a good neighborhood because of numbers. What your brain really does is, does it feel safe? And so I would always say, walk through the neighborhood at different times of day, try to find that neighbor that's in every neighborhood, that one person that like has all the tea and is ready to spill. So you can find out like if there's anything you need to know about that neighborhood. So just, kind of walking different times of day, trying to talk to people, get a feel for the neighborhood. If you're able to do that, it's going to help you have a lot more confidence in your decision. So those are kind of like the non-negotiables, right? You gotta have a good school district and you gotta feel safe. Now after that, to further narrow down what neighborhoods you want to look at, it's kind of more the like quality of life stuff. And so the first thing that I would recommend in this kind of category is your work commute. So San Antonio has some traffic issues. Luckily, we don't have traffic issues all day. We tend to have traffic issues at certain times of day. So you want to make sure that you are taking that into account. If you are working on one side of town, you want to make sure that you use Google Maps or something like that to chart out what your commute is going to be like. Make sure you use the feature on Google Maps that will let you set like a time of day. That's what I always do. I go in and say like, okay, I leave work at 5, so at 5 o'clock, how long does it take to get from work to home? Things like that, so that you know how long your commute is going to be. I always tell people, if you're coming in and you're stationed at Fort Sam Houston on the east side of town, if you pick a home out by SeaWorld, it doesn't matter how great the home and neighborhood are, you're gonna be miserable because it's just gonna be a nightmare commute every single day. So to me, the commute is really, really key. Some people don't mind a commute, but I think, gosh, I hate being in the car. So that's one of my big ones. The second thing is you want to make sure that you are near childcare, again, if you have children. So whether that means being near friends and family, or being near childcare facilities, or like a YMCA or after school programs, you want to make sure that you have that taken into account, because it is definitely difficult. There are certain sides of town where it is hard to find childcare. I actually moved from my first home to my second home to be closer to things like YMCAs and daycares and things like that, where I could get more childcare because I really was having to drive across town all the time. So you want to make sure that those facilities exist and that they are high quality facilities that you are comfortable leaving your kids in. After that, we kind of get to the fun part, which is, kind of activities that you or your family enjoy. So San Antonio is, I think, one of the best cities in the world because it really does have something for everybody. So no matter what you are into, you can find it in San Antonio. So you want to look for, okay, if, for example, if your kids are really into Little League Baseball, then I would say, let's look at Church Cibolo because they have a really, really fantastic Little League program on that side of town. If you are into hiking and nature trails, then maybe we're looking at living near McAllister Park or Phil Hardberger Park, or maybe out on the northwest side where there are lots of like Texas state parks that are really large. That would be a good area to live in. You'd be close and be able to go off on hikes and bike rides pretty easily. If you are like a foodie and you really actually want to live in Austin, but it's way too expensive, then maybe you want to live near the Pearl or near the King William district downtown, where all of kind of like the trendy bars and trendy restaurants and things are. So you just kind of want to look at, what does my family enjoy doing and where do those things exist? Now, of course, that would go under school districts, commute, things like that. But I think it's still important to keep in mind, for my family, living near a park is kind of a must because we love to go to the park. So just kind of keeping those things in mind. After you kind of narrow that down, you can look at Zillow and just kind of get an idea for the prices of the homes in those different areas. By this point, you should have gone to your mortgage broker and you should have an idea of like what your maximum purchase value is going to be. So you can look at those areas and see like, okay, my limit for my mortgage broker is $300,000. So, maybe Bernie is not going to work, but maybe I can find an area that will work and still ticks off a lot of these boxes. So it's just this balancing act. where you're taking into account price, activities, commute, school district, all of that, and kind of trying to figure out what areas are going to work best for our family. Once you narrow that down, your realtor can send you a search based on that area, and you can really effectively look for a home. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any other things that you look for in a neighborhood, please comment below, let me know. And then the next video will be how to actually search and do showings and actually narrow down what kind of home you would like. I hope that helps. Again, like, follow, subscribe, do all the things. I'm on all the social media platforms, and I hope to see you next time.